Well, howdy there, folks. This is your host, ID Jester. Thanks for checking out my video. Once again, we're going to be looking at Tigers on the Hunt, and I am going to be giving you an in-depth, full-length game review of Tigers on the Hunt. I notice there's a lot of people going on the different forums and asking questions about this game. What can you do? How does it play? What's the AI like? Just basic. What is included? What doesn't? What can it do? What doesn't it do? Etc. Etc. And so, what I've decided to do, I think a lot of these questions is because we don't actually have an in-depth game review of Tigers on the Hunt. So I've decided to go ahead and put one out here so that people that are interested in finding out all of the information about Tigers on the Hunt can come and watch this video so they can make their decision on whether or not to purchase this wonderful game. So, Tigers on the Hunt, of course, is being developed by Silicon Soft Systems Incorporated. And of course, the publisher is Matrix Games and Slytherin. So, of course, if you want to find out more information about Tigers on the Hunt, check out those fine websites there. So, let's get to it and give you my information. Again, this is from me, ID Jester. This is my own personal thoughts and opinions. Yours may vary, but I'm going to give you my unbiased information about Tigers on the Hunt as best I can. So, Tigers on the Hunt is strongly inspired by ASL, of course, Advanced Squad Leader, but it is not full ASL. The quicker you realize that, the less questions you will have about this game. So the things that are included in this game are the phases of the game, of course, maps and counters because it's a board game, the flow of the game as you flow through the different phases of the game. Of course, your squads, your half squads, your leaders, your AFVs, your weapons, your ordnance, your OBA. Of course, victory points when you're setting up scenarios, exit points, and of course, 4 full different countries are included in Tigers on the Hunt. But, as I mentioned, it is not full ASL. There are things in the ASL rulebook that are not included in Tigers on the Hunt, and that is bypass movement, multi-hex fire groups, multi-story buildings, sniper counter, and walls and hedges. Of course, there are probably many other slight variations and things that are not included, but these are the main components of Advanced Squad Leader that are not included in Tigers on the Hunt. Which takes us to a very important discussion that we need to have about Tigers on the Hunt and how you're going to feel about this game. If I go to my next slide. So, your opinion of Tigers on the Hunt will probably be determined or based upon what you think is missing from the game and the complexity of which you think this game should be played. So, if we look at the game overview, we have to decide, and of course the developer had to decide when he started creating this game, how many of the rules for Advanced Squad Leader should be included in this game. How many of those 386 pages are going to be included, and as much as we include, the more rules that we include, of course, the less easy it is going to be for players to play the game. Are all of the rules for Advanced Squad Leader really needed? Does the sniper counter really add that much importance to playing Advanced Squad Leader? Or is it just a rule to simulate something that we have to learn pages and pages of rules for that really is not that important to the game, to the basic game concepts of Advanced Squad Leader? Of course, we're talking about complexity versus functionality. The more complex you're going to make your game, the less functional it's going to be. And of course, lastly, playing the game versus reading the rules. How many of us, especially as wargamers out there, spend more time reading through the rules or looking up rules in the rule book? I've played many face-to-face Advanced Squad Leader games. I've played on Vassal. How much time is it spent saying, okay, hang on a second, I got to look that rule up, I got to try and figure out what's going on, and just trying to compare your interpretation of these 386 pages of rules versus another person's interpretation of the rules, and of course all of the exceptions that flow into that. So, of course, the designer had to make some very hard and thoughtful decisions when he was making Tigers on the Hunt to figure out what is the basis behind Advanced Squad Leader, and what rules should be implemented into the game, and which rules are not as needed as we think they should be. So what I've done here is basically taken a Snowbird's Tigers on the Hunt phase sheet that was created by Snowbird. Did a wonderful job on this anyways. And basically in this one and single page document, he was able to outline all of Tigers on the Hunt's detailed information that you're going to need to learn to play Tigers on the Hunt. And you can see on this one page it covers all the different phases, all of the rules, plus some of the exceptions and miscellaneous rules that you need to learn and understand. When we're comparing this one page phase sheet versus the ASL phase sheet, which happens to be, I think, 12 to 14 pages long, that kind of gives you a general understanding of the complexity versus functionality in Tigers on the Hunt versus Advanced Squad Leader. I just happened to randomly choose a sniper rule here for the sniper counter here, and just kind of paraphrased it into a little window here for you guys, just to kind of compare and see. The exception: prior to random selection, a sniper may choose one of the following if present in that location as its target: the enemy sniper counter, a vulnerable inherent crew, or an unarmored vehicle. If any eligible target is concealed, you're going to have to look up another rule. If the random selection results in multiple targets, only one sniper's choice is attacked by the initial sniper attack die roll. The others are each subject to a new sniper die roll. The sniper attack is resolved against the selected enemy targets with two exceptions, and then of course it goes on to have two more paragraphs just for this one rule. Now, I love Advanced Squad Leader and I enjoy it very much, but there comes a point where when you're trying to play the game and you're trying to understand the complexities or get other people to learn how to play, that it gets to the point where the complexity and ease of play is just overshadowed by the amount of rules and additions to the game. I love Advanced Squad Leader and I love the complexity of Advanced Squad Leader, but it gets to be a little mind-boggling. It takes years and years of practice and knowledge to be proficient with most of the rules incorporated, and even after that amount of time, you're still spending a lot of time refreshing, rehashing, looking things up. And I'm sure the designer made some very hard decisions when he was designing this game about what should be included in and what's functionally available for the players. And he made a decision to make this game easier to play and wanted people to concentrate on playing the game and not worrying about all of the miscellaneous rules and all of the things that I agree with should not even be in Advanced Squad Leader, because they don't really add that many rules or that many important strategic decisions anyways. Bypass movement, multi-group, multi-hex fire groups, multi-story buildings, sniper counters, walls and hedges. These are all wonderful and great things, but each of one of those adds just a new set of problems, a new set of issues, a whole group of pages and pages of rules that you have to learn. And so it comes down to the complexity versus the ease of play and how many rules should be incorporated, and what, if anything, can be added to the game that is not going to bog it down and let the players just play the game. So for me personally, and of course every ASL player out there is going to have a different take and a different view on this situation, and that's why I'm spending so much time with it, because it is ultra important that you understand all of these facts. Every ASL player out there has their own take and view. There are, of course, going to be players that are strictly looking for an exact copy of ASL. In that case, I think you will be slightly more disappointed in Tigers in the Hunt than somebody else out there. For example, an ASL player that's new to the game, that doesn't know all the rules, has not spent all the time studying and researching and trying to comprehend all of the different variations in the rules. And those players are going to look at Tigers in the Hunt completely different than a player that has been playing for years and years and has a full grasp of ASL and is looking for an exact copy of ASL. So two totally different players are going to have two totally different opinions upon Tigers in the Hunt. I think personally, I am one of those ASL players that have been playing for many years, and I have I would say a very good understanding of the rules and such, but I'm very much in favor of what the designer did with Tigers on the Hunt to make it much easier and much more playable by not including some of the features that I don't think are that important to be able to play Advanced Squad Leader. When we're talking about, just for example, I'm just going to choose bypass movement here just as an example. So the bypass movement rule is, you would think just adding that in would not be very hard, but I'm sure, and I'm not a programmer, I'm not a coder, I don't have any knowledge with that whatsoever. But the problems with adding in bypass movement are extensive if you are going to try and code in those problems and issues into the game. Every time you're using one of the hex spines on the map board, you're going to have to recalculate all of your line of sight for every unit in there. You also have to embed all the rules for broken units. You have to incorporate a whole slew of extra features that the whole issue of bypass movement, the whole what's the best way of putting this? Sorry, the bypass movement main purpose in ASL is to give you basically one free movement point, because you're bypassing a hex normally that costs you 2 movement points to go into, and you're going to bypass that and go into a clear hex, which is only going to cost you 1 movement point. So all of the extra rules, all of the extra coding, all of the extra problems, everything you have to learn is basically to give you 1 extra movement point. So that's where we get into, is it really necessary to add bypass movement into the rules? Is it necessary to really keep the flavor and the flow and the design of Advanced Squad Leader, to keep it strictly the same by adding in this bypass movement? And my answer, and of course the answer for the developer, is no. And each one of these other issues and problems bring in a new set of challenges, a new set of problems, and we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of coding hours. We're talking about learning pages and pages of extra rules for the functionality. We're talking about multi-story buildings. All of a sudden we have to calculate in blind hexes. We have to calculate in height differentials. A whole bunch of extra problems are caused by multi-story building. Exits, stairwell hexes versus non-stairwell hexes. height advantage over your target, blind hex is created. It's just pages and pages and pages for the ability for your units to get up 1 or 2 levels higher. Is it worth it? No, I don't think it is, to tell you the truth. Personally, I think Advanced Squad Leader has gotten to the point where it's just added so much, it just makes it to the point where you spend more time actually reading the rules and trying to learn the game than you're actually spending enjoying and playing the game. So of course every Advanced Squad Leader player out there is going to have their own opinion of what a game like Advanced Squad Leader should be. If it should be an exact copy, if it should be a dumbed down version, or if it should be an easy version, or whatever. I'm sure there's players out there wishing that Tigers on the Hunt was easier than it is. Less rules incorporated into it. I'm sure there's many players out there again that are looking for Tigers on the Hunt to be an exact copy. But I think the developer has done a really good job of taking the core essence of Advanced Squad Leader, taking the mechanics, taking all of the flow of the game, the kind of the backbone behind Advanced Squad Leader, incorporating it into Tigers on the Hunt without making it a game where you're going to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours trying to read and figure out what's going on. And as I mentioned, you can see this by just the ease of one phase sheet versus having tons and tons of phase sheets and game aids and player aids and all kinds of different extra things. So again, how you feel about Advanced Squad Leader and your opinions on where and how much of Advanced Squad Leader should be incorporated into a game is going to probably give you your opinion of what you think of Tigers on the Hunt. So, with that all said, let's talk about some more specific things when we're talking about Tigers on the Hunt, shall we? Alright, so let's look at the default graphics. Again, the designer of the game decided to go with a clean, new look. With no stats on the actual counters and a very nice looking, eye-pleasing terrain, as you can see here by our example up here in the corner. And that is because, again, the designer didn't want people to get bogged down with all of the mathematical formulas and calculations that people tend to use when they're playing with counters that have actual stats on them. They're crisp, they're clean, they look good, and they definitely have a nice aesthetic to them. How functional they are for you will depend on whether or not you like to have your counters with stats on them, and if you are a person that wants to spend actual time and effort trying to figure and calculate out mathematically your exact perfect moves. If you are a person that wants to just get in and enjoy the game system and say, oh, this guy can target this guy over here, I'm going to shoot it. I don't really care if I get a -2 to my attack, or I don't care if I've got to shoot at long range and I'm going to be shooting at half firepower or whatever. And that is what is set up for the default graphics. So the designer has made sure that it's easy for players to not worry about the actual minute details in Advanced Squad Leader. Now with that said, we've already had released several very, very good Advanced Squad Leader and Squad Leader graphic modifications that have been released for Tigers on the Hunt. So if you are a person that does enjoy stats on your counters and you want to have the look and feel of playing, of pushing those cardboard counters around, just like you're playing a face-to-face game, you can quickly and easily download some of these graphic mods made by Richie61 from the Matrix forums, and you can replace your default graphic file probably within 30 seconds and have your feel and look of Advanced Squad Leader instantaneously changed over. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who have really looked at this graphic mod and enjoy it immensely. I have used it on many occasions. It looks and feels just like playing a face-to-face Advanced Squad Leader or Squad Leader with these special counters. If you are playing on the internet nowadays and you're playing Advanced Squad Leader, you're probably very familiar with, of course, Vassal. Well, thanks to J Moss, there is now a Vassal graphic mod that you can download again and get installed within 30 seconds, and you will have an exact copy or a very similar copy of the Vassal graphics if you're more familiar with those. And you can see by this picture here a very good representation. All three of these pictures, I should say, by the way, are from approximately the same location with the same units on it, so you can have a comparison of exactly what the different looks like with the exact same counters and the same exact spot in the game. So you can see here some of the differences, the Vassal mod, and of course the ASL graphic mod made by Richie61. So you can start off with the default clean, crisp, new, interesting, beautiful, updated counters, or if you're more into some of the older graphic looks, if you're more into exact perfect copy of the counters that you're looking for, or of course a very crisp, very clean, very eye-appeasing Vassal mod. So there are many default out there, but of course these will be the default graphics you can get, and of course these are just free downloads that you can get on the Matrix website. Scenario Hunt, Tigers on the Hunt editor. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because that is any game that comes out. I don't care what game it is. Any game that comes out within the last, say, 5 or 6 years, the mod community and the ability to be able to create user information and objects and stuff for that game really show the longevity of the game. It really gives people and players out there more for their value. It gives them opportunities to create things if they're interested in doing that. Well, Tigers on the Hunt comes with a built-in editor which has full functionality, full capabilities. In fact, the editor that comes with the game was the editor used to create every single scenario that comes with the game. It is very quick. It is very easy. There is a ton of great options. It is a top-notch, full-fledged editor. It is very easy to use and very easy to figure out. Within an hour of using this editor, I was able to create many different scenarios, and I'm at the point now where I can create a full-fledged scenario with probably 20 to 25 counters per side, with new maps and new locations, victory point locations, and everything probably within 15 minutes. So I could have a scenario pumped out every 15 or 20 minutes or so if I wanted to just kind of randomly create my own scenario. As you can see, speaking of scenarios, there is a ton of super good scenarios that have already been released for this game, which has been released full release February 25th, so it's been out probably about 3 weeks so far, and you can see there is a good 40 or so scenarios that you can download that people have created. And of course, for you ASL and Squad Leader players out there, there is a ton of scenarios already created based upon real ASL and Squad Leader scenarios. The Guards Counterattack, of course, scenario number 1, Hill 621, Gavin's Tank, Agony of Doom, the Puma Prowls. I mean, just about every scenario that has been played by many, many players out there have been already started working on. The game comes with 4 tutorial scenarios and 25 full-fledged scenarios in the package of the game. But on the release day, kind of as a celebration, Paulus, which was the user that created all the scenarios for the game, released 3 special other scenarios here, number 26, number 27, and of course number 28. So there is 28 full scenarios and 4 tutorial scenarios, and of course plus another boatload of scenarios being created. Pretty much every day there's being several scenarios being released, and you can go to, of course, the mods and scenarios folder in Tigers on the Hunt on the Matrix forums to check out where the scenarios stand at this point. So that is Tigers on the Hunt. Great editor, very quick, easy to use, full functionality, plenty of options. I should mention there are a lot of the ASL-like scenario boards. Obviously, they can't be an exact copy because of certain functions and features that are not in Tigers on the Hunt, like walls and hedges. So I think there was already 40 or so of the ASL-like maps, maps that you will be familiar and recognize pretty easily. That again you can download for free from the community website there at Matrix Games, and be able to create your scenarios of your dreams. If there's a scenario out there that you're interested in playing or recreating with the editor, and a few minutes of your time, you should be able to recreate it from scratch. So well done. I love the fact, as a side note, I love the fact one of the super cool features that I enjoy personally is the fact that you can actually have the game randomly place maps on each of your different sectors. So you can quickly and easily come up with different map layouts to create your scenarios pretty easily, and you can get some very interesting designs by just using the random map editor. In fact, this was a scenario that I created, and you can see I've just laid down a few of the different maps out there, added a few different textures, added some water and maybe a few buildings here and there, and connected some of the roads, and I was ready to create my scenario. So very good, very full functional editor. Tigers on the Hunt UI. Let's talk about that for a little bit, shall we? Well, first of all, it has that wargaming feel and look to it. If anybody has purchased any war games within the last, 10 years or something, they all kind of have that same general look and feel to them. Where they have, your map and your counters and everything kind of in the middle. You have a top interface up at the top that has some buttons for you to click on, and then of course some information windows and panels around for such. There is control clicking for multiple unit selections, so you can see down here in the corner when you select a hex, you have all your different units down in here. And because of the way the game, because the way of the rules are with Advanced Squad Leader and how everything kind of interacts with one another, you do have that control clicking for multiple units. It does have a very manageable interface, and there are buttons up here on the tool bar for all your different tools. It's pretty clean and easy to understand. I mean, there's nothing that you're going to need to really spend any time looking at a rule book to try and figure out how anything is going to be working. Anytime you click on anything in the game, your units, you're going to have a window. It's going to fill in this window down here. Anytime you have an attack, you're going to have a result window over here. And if you're going to have, if you want to look at anything, you're going to have your information window kind of up here. The pros of this, of course, for all of us war gamers out there, it is very quick load times. I mean, Tigers on the Hunt starts within a second of double-clicking the icon, and you'll be in the game. There is no, a minute and a half to load into, a game. It's very quick. It's, of course, familiar if you're a war gamer or just a gamer in general. It's very familiar to you. It's easy to use. And the other thing I would like to say about it as a definite as a pro, anytime you do something that you're not allowed to do, if I'm clicked on a unit to move when he's pinned, or if I'm trying to route a unit that's not broken, there'll be a little pop-up window and it'll tell you this unit is not broken. You cannot route units that are not broken during the route phase. So you can gives you a nice example of a window that pops up anytime you do something that you're not allowed to do because of the rules. And so it will definitely help you learn the game, because it'll give you a message. Instead of just clicking on something and then you go to move and it just doesn't do anything, or it just beeps at you, beep, beep, or whatever, it actually will give you a nice pop-up warning message telling you, so you can help learn the game and help understand how things what happens in different phases of the game. So great job on that. I guess the cons of the UI interface is there are multiple clicking for selection of your window. Sometimes you'll have multiple attacks happen at the same time, and your result window will go from one fire attack to the next fire attack to the next fire attack, and you'll have to kind of scroll back up through to see, especially when you have like machine guns that keep the rate of fire and such. Sometimes you'll have to scroll back up to see what happened on the first attack, or what happened on the second attack, or what happened on the third attack, depending on how much rate of fire they kept and how many times they kept shooting at you. The control clicking, again, I know a lot of people are not a big fan of the control clicking, and I understand that. But because of all of the different exceptions, is what I like to call them, for Advanced Squad Leader. If you look at the Advanced Squad Leader rule book, it'll tell you, here is the rule except for this case, this case, this case, and this case. And because of all of those exceptions, like trying to move a broken unit that's pinned or whatever, I can't just select all of my units at a single time. So for example, if it's, let's just say it happens to be the route phase, and 2 of my 3 units in this stack were broken, I can't just double click on this stack to select all of my units, because one of the units is not able to route because he's not broken. Which would cause that little message to come up, and you would constantly have that problem. So to resolve that issue, and it's more of a game mechanic function than it is of any other problem, is you have to click on your units individually. And of course, if you want to select multiple units, you're going to have to hold the control key down to select multiple units, which I know a lot of people are not a big fan of, but to tell you the truth, I have been playing for a long time here, and I have never had a problem, and it comes just second nature to me now. I just have my hand on the keyboard. I have my hand on the arrow keys so I can move the map around up or down, left or right, and I have my thumb on the control key. So anytime I'm going to mouse over to a hex, I click on the hex. And if I know I got multiple units I'm going to be selecting, my thumb just automatically goes down on the control key. So I mean, your mileage may vary on that, depending on how you like to do your wargaming. But for me, it's personally, it's not a problem, and I quickly and easily learned that, and after a few games it'll just come a second nature to you. But I know there are some players out there that would like the ability to select multiple units at the same time, but because I think because of the actual game mechanics of the way ASL is, and the fact that there are exceptions for moving and stuff, you're going to have to manually select. Of course, we talked about the scroll to see your results. And the last thing is the map is on the edge of the screen. I would like to have just a little bit more space over here, especially if you're playing a scenario with only one map board. Instead of being able to auto-center it or anything, you're going to have your map board just over here on the left. Not a big issue, not a big problem. Of course, I would just like to, if you're only going to be playing with one or two map boards, if there was a way to kind of center those, that would be totally awesome and cool, if that was possible. So, all in all, the UI is functional. It's got that wargaming feel. It really makes you feel like you're playing a war game. It's manageable. It's pretty quick. It's easy. It's clean. And very familiar to anyone out there that has purchased any kind of war games in the last dozen years or so. All right, let's talk about Tigers on the Hunt, the AI, which of course is going to be ultra important, because why buy Tigers on the Hunt? Well, the reason you would want to purchase it is because you want to play Advanced Squad Leader against the computer instead of having to play face to face. You want to be able to play through a scenario quick and easy against the computer. So let's look at the pros and the cons about the AI. Here are my pros. It's quick and it plays like what you think it should. So, it does what you think it should do most of the time. It gives, and this is, I think, ultra important, and a lot of people don't really think about this, and that's why I put it on the list, is it gives you challenge without cheating. So there are multiple different levels of difficulty, which we'll see later on. But there is no cheating going on. I know a lot of games out there go, oh, okay, well, we'll give all the enemy units a +1 to their attack, or -1 to their attack, or -2 to their attack, or whatever, to kind of compensate for the difficulty. There is no differences between the different difficulty levels other than command and control, which we should probably look at. The AI knows and follows the rules. I don't know how many times the AI is routed and I go, I'm going to get you, I'm going to interdict you, and I go to click on the unit and it says, no units in this hex can be interdicted. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Oh, I'm shooting through a cover hex. Or, oh, my units are tired because I double timed them and I can't interdict with tired units, and so it knows rules and it follows them. Very good. Again, there's multiple levels of difficulty based upon your command and control. So for those of you who don't know what command and control is, it's each turn you will roll for each of your units to see if they are in command and control. So your leaders, if they pass their command and control, then all the units within, I think it's 2 hexes of the leader, will automatically be in command and control. If your leader doesn't pass, then they have to roll individually and stuff. So some of your units you might not have access to because they haven't got their orders to move up, or they haven't got their orders to fire or assault an attack, or whatever. There is hot seat gameplay, of course. So if you are playing with a friend and having them over, you can play, of course. And since we're talking about hot seat, I will mention that there is a way to do remote hot seat. It's not, of course, the best and viable way to do it, but if you really wanted to play with your friend but you live in different states, I released a video not too long ago that talks about ways that you can actually connect to your other human players and basically have a remote hot seat capabilities. So check out that video if you're interested in finding that out. The AI, you can set it to attack, you can set it to defend, and you can actually set it with a combination of that. So some of the units you can tell the AI to attack certain locations. You can also have some of the units defend certain locations. So it does have different capabilities for it. The AI, notice, will not do the same thing every time, which is great. I just loaded up a save game just the other day that I had saved, and I started replaying the scenario, and the computer did a certain thing, and then my wife came in and interrupted me, and I had to go to dinner or whatever it was, and I came back and I forgot what I was doing, so I loaded up the scenario again and started back up, and the computer did two totally different things than what it was doing before, which is great because it keeps you on your toes. You're never sure what it's going to do. And last but not least is pros. It knows what you're up to many times. So if you watch some of my videos, I talk about that a few times where I know what's going to happen because the computer knows what I'm trying to do. For example, if he's got broken units and I'm trying to move up units to adjacent to those broken units so that he's going to have to route away, when I move a unit adjacent to them, the AI will continue to pour fire onto my hex until my units break if they can, because it knows it doesn't want me to have units adjacent to his broken units. So it does a pretty good job of that. The cons, of course, unfortunately, there are no built-in multiplayer at this time. There are reports of some routing issues, and I've got to start here because I would like to talk about this for a second. So the reports that I hear and read about is the fact that the AI will move into a hex and then it'll move back into the hex that it was at before. And I have never seen this at all in any of my games. I'm not saying that it's not happening. It might be happening, but for those of you who are knowledgeable about routes, the fact that I can route, rules for routing are I cannot route any closer to a known enemy unit. When I route into a hex, I have to recalculate whether or not I have any known enemy units. And all of a sudden, if I see a unit that I couldn't see before, I can no longer go towards that other unit now, which might force me back into the place that I was originally. So I'm not saying that that is the case. I'm just saying I have got 40 plus hours of videos online, and I've never experienced any of the routing issues, although some people have. So I guess we should put that as a con. I wish the computer would have a stronger, slightly stronger attacking, especially when they have the advantage. The computer uses his units to the best of their capabilities, which is great, but it doesn't seem like he takes that many risks. And if you watched any of my videos, you notice I tend to have a high risk, high reward situation where I will make more risky maneuvers. I will try certain things. If I can get this unit through this spot, and even though he's going to defensive fire on me like 3 times, if I can get that unit through there, I'm going to be in a great spot, and I'll send him through. So I wish the computer would actually try things like that. Now, of course, the problem with doing this is that people look at this and go, well, the computer's playing stupid because he's doing things that he shouldn't be doing. He's sending this unit out in the open, and I'm just blasting it to hell. And why would the computer do that, knowing that? So I guess I can understand the reason why the computer is not as strong as I would like it. And the fact is because it doesn't take as many risks. It tends to have a lower risk, lower reward. And then I just feel that sometimes maybe just 5% of the time or whatever, like a random die roll, the computer might just do something unexpected like that. But of course, like I said, the problem with that is if you have the computer doing things like that and taking higher risk, some players might feel that it's not playing properly. And the last but not least, when we're talking about the AI, the last thing I would like the AI to route better for cover. Meaning, I wish the computer would try to hide his units better for me so that I can't just keep breaking them with the DM counter over and over and over again. It doesn't happen all the time, and I'm sure the route mechanic is extremely hard to program because you have to worry about line of sight, you have to worry about which location it can go to, what follow-up location, and the computer doesn't know, oh, well, I've got units over here, here, and here that can take advantage and just keep shooting you. So I'm sure that route mechanic is very hard to program. I just wish, for example, if you're in a building and there's trees behind it, the computer would route out of the building into the trees or a building behind it, so that way I can't continue to DM it. Now, I've seen it do it many times, but there are times where the computer will just stay in its location knowing that it can't go anywhere without me interdicting. So I've had some very good examples of some AI. Again, I'm not saying there's not problems with the AI. I'm not saying that there isn't some bugs in it. What I'm telling you is I have played probably 60 to 80 hours of Tigers on the Hunt, and I have not experienced any. And I've got probably 40 hours of videos on my YouTube channel. So if you want to just go from our live streams that I do, if you want to just go and watch those, there's not too many situations that I've come across where the AI has done anything extraordinarily bad, or just where it was a route issue or anything like that. In fact, I've had kind of a couple examples of the exact opposite, where example number one, I had the AI attack a victory point location over and over again. And it was like this victory point location was worth as many victory points as all of the other victory points on the whole map. And I was set up for a complete total victory, but the computer was able to go after that one point, his last shot, and he took it over on the very last close combat phase of the game and turned my victory, my decisive major victory, into a draw. So I don't want to talk about that anymore. It's just pains me. It just makes me, oh, okay. I remember that like it was just yesterday. Alright, and number two, the AI used its units perfectly to break through my defenses and move towards the exit point and exited them on the final turn for a major victory. So another live stream I was doing playing this scenario, the AI busted through, retaking, or it was a battle for Ramal actually, which of course you can check out on my YouTube channel, and he basically just broke through my units, and there was of course a victory point location. The AI is worth double the victory points if they could remove them off the map. And of course, instead of just running right over to the victory point location, he continued to pummel me into the ground until the last turn. He just walked off, just laughing at me, ha ha ha, and got all those victory points. But, as a side note, I should mention, I was able to actually close combat one of his vehicles on the last turn to get a draw out of that. So, nah. Anyways, I think the AI plays just fine. It plays like what I think it should. It doesn't do anything crazy and doesn't do anything too fancy. Of course, it can't calculate every single solitary move that you could possibly think of. So, of course, sometimes you can get it to, if I'm moving up a half squad, I've noticed the AI not attack it because it knows I've got other units out there, trying to get that AI to defensive fire on it. I've noticed many times where the AI will not fire on it, but I've also mentioned other times where I've moved a little half squad up and the AI has proceeded to shoot it 4 or 5 different units, using up his defensive fire, so I can move other units up into more better locations. So it's not going to be obviously as perfect as playing with an AI, or I'm sorry, playing with the human. It can't outthink, it can't outmaneuver you very well. It can't, it can't, kind of comprehend the whole situation and what's going on like a human being can. But, of course, I think the AI does a good job for keeping it challenging without cheating. Again, the fact that it doesn't cheat, it doesn't do things that are against the rules, I think is a big bonus for this game. And just a few slight tweaks, I think would be perfect for the AI. All right, so that's kind of my overall opinions review of Tigers on the Hunt. We've talked quite a bit in depth and detail about what's going on. So let's go over the pros and the cons again and then get to our final verdict. So the pros, it's a war game that stays absolutely true to Advanced Squad Leader, but it doesn't add all of the unnecessary stuff that I feel doesn't need to be in the game. It's a true representation of Advanced Squad Leader, but it doesn't have all of the extra stuff that Advanced Squad Leader has, but I don't think it needs. So it's a great representation of Advanced Squad Leader. Almost exactly what I was hoping for. I would rather it be the way it is now than actually have all of those extra rules in there, because I can foresee so many issues and problems trying to code in all of those exceptions, all of those differences in the rules. You can do this except for A, B, C, D, and having to code in all of that stuff would just be mind-boggling difficult and all kinds of problems. The editor, another big bonus, is quick and easy to use. The game comes with 4 full countries: U.S., British, Soviet, and German. Full squads, half squads, leaders, crews, weapons, ordnance, vehicles, OBA, everything exactly like what you would think Advanced Squad Leader would be like. 4 full countries of units, plenty of opportunities. Nice selection of built-in scenarios, very nice. We haven't really talked much about the actual scenarios that come with the game. All kinds of different variations: attacking, defending, some very small scenarios, some bigger scenarios, some with just squads, some with just tanks, some with a combination of squads and tanks. Lots of different capability, different selections for your units in there. A great selection, actually. And one of the most important things, it fills a much-needed gap in wargaming. Many people, and myself included, have been waiting 10 to 15 years to get their hands on an Advanced Squad Leader-like game. And not having to carry around 3 tackle boxes worth of counters, plus 2 bags full of books, plus the rule sheets and all your counter aids and everything like that. Having a computer to play a scenario that's going to take me 8 hours of face-to-face time, and I can play it in probably 1 hour against the computer, is just totally bonus. And I'm actually hoping that this game will get more and more players into playing Advanced Squad Leader, because when you take out all of those extra rules out of the game, you take out all the extra things that don't need to be in there, Advanced Squad Leader is a very easy game to understand once you get a few of the core concepts behind. It's very hard to master. That's a difference. That's a different discussion. But it's a very easy game to understand. And having these little pop-up windows tell you anytime you're doing something wrong, you go, my leader can't apply a bonus when it's pinned. Oh, well, now I know that. Duh. So, fills a much-needed gap. One guy's passion created a monster. And that's the other thing I will say, is the developer of this game happens to be one single person. So when I take into account, personally, when I take into account what I'm looking at, whatever I'm dealing with, I look at what goes into the game. We're not talking about Ubisoft here, where they have millions and millions of dollars, and they have 3 floors of programmers that can get in there. If Ubisoft made an ASGL game, or you or I made an ASL game, there is going to be a huge difference between these games, of course. Look at any title out there. There's a lot of great indie titles out there that, are made by small companies and they turn out really good, but they don't have all of the super best graphics. They don't have the super best interface. They don't have, just thousands of dollars to spend on development and testing and bug fixing. We are talking about a single individual, a single person in the world that said, I want to, if I could create a game like ASL, can I create something like that? Because I really enjoy games like that. Is there a way for me to create that? And he took it upon himself. And not only that, but his passion for the game and making sure that everything was done right and everything is getting updated and fixed and that we don't have to worry that next month or 6 months from now he's going to be working on a different project. This is kind of his contribution to all of the Advanced Squad Leader players out there in the world. Just like I did some tutorial videos for Advanced Squad Leader back in the day. That was kind of my contribution. I'm not a programmer. I can't program things, but what I can do is I can create videos and I can talk and teach people how to do things. That's kind of what I do. So that was my contribution. And of course, the developer, his contribution is Tigers on the Hunt. Of course, it's not an exact copy of Advanced Squad Leader. It's not meant to be an exact copy. It is his interpretation of, if I could create something that is based upon what I enjoy about infantry combat systems, what can I do to help? What can I do to create? And of course, last but not least, as a pro, we have tons of graphic mods out there that will allow you to push around those ASL counters that you love to hate. Plopping down those DM counters, pushing around those Tiger tanks, everything. Graphic mods are available and ready to download for free. Cons, UI could be fine-tuned a bit to make it more user-friendly. Obviously, we talked about that a little bit. Get a few of the UI improvements. Try to just narrow, try to make it a little more user-friendly, make it a little easier to use, have different buttons maybe that you can incorporate, just to make things a little bit easier for the user. Slight AI tweaks, which we talked about. Slight modifications to the way the AI works in the game. And of course, one of the things that I am personally hoping for the most, which would be, of course, adding multiplayer to the game, if possible. Just the way the game mechanics work, the way the game phases work, it's just not a game that you can actually do like play by email, because there would be too many decisions to be made, like during the movement phase. Every time you moved into a hex, you'd have to see if your opponent wants to defensive fire, and then he would have to send that file back to you, and then you would move it to the next hex, and then have to send it back to him. Then he could have to send it back to you and say, nope, I choose not to move that, So just the way the mechanics of Advanced Squad Leader just don't make it very play-by-email very, it's not going to work very well. So I think having a full-on fledged connection, like a host, and having your player join in would be totally a bonus for that game. So my final verdict, my final say is, it's very, very good game. It easily makes it to a Tiger tank quality, but it just barely doesn't quite make it to a King Tiger. But it makes me want more units, more countries, more weapons, more ordnance, more of everything. More. And that means it's a very, very good game. I'm giving it a 92% out of 100, of course. I think it is design feature-wise just perfect to what we need for Advanced Squad Leader in computer form. So thank you one and all for watching, if you stayed with me here, and I guess we'll see you guys next time. So thanks for watching.